We've been quietly saving for years and finally hit a point where buying in London should make sense. And yet, we are still renting.
Our friends, family, and strangers keep on saying, "Why aren't you buying already? Renting is like throwing money away." So instead of rushing in, we actually did something that almost nobody does. We actually ran the numbers.
Not just can we afford it, but does it financially make sense to buy right now or wait?
What we found totally changed our perspective. Stick around for the next few minutes and this might actually save you a small fortune. Let's get into it.
Now, the first myth is that rent is dead money, but here's what rent actually pays for. Last month, our boiler broke down at midnight. What did it cost to us? Nothing. The landlord paid for it.
When I got a job opportunity about 1.5 hours away, we could actually consider it instead of worrying about our mortgage.
And if you want to live in Zone 2 or Zone 3 of London, which is closer to your work and a more happening part of London, you can afford to rent there. But to buy, you'd be pushed to Zone 4 or Zone 5.
That's not dead money. That's paying for flexibility, convenience, and optionality while we figure out our lives. But wait, some people would say if we put that money into buying a house, we would be building equity, right? Okay, now let us show you something which most people never see while buying a house, and that is the amortization table. Okay, so this is an amortization calculator. It shows where your monthly mortgage payment actually goes, how much goes to the bank as interest versus how much builds your equity. Let's say we buy a 600k pound house in zone 4 or 5, freehold, not leasehold. Mortgage needed 510k at 4.4% over 25 years. We will link the source of a mortgage rate in the description below. So based on this calculator, monthly payment is about 2,805. But look at where this money goes in month 1. This is where it starts getting interesting. To the bank as interest, 1,870. To building equity, 935. So 67% goes straight to the bank as interest. Over the entire first year, we would pay 33,671. Bank keeps 22,200 in interest and we built equity of 11,460. So when someone tells you rent is dead money but mortgage builds equity, we would be paying 22,000 in interest to the bank in year 1 alone.
And yes, we know that the interest will buy you leverage. You will control a 600,000 pound house with just a 90,000 down payment. When the house appreciates by 2% and that's 12,000 pounds, and we know you'll get all of it. But leverage is powerful only if the house appreciates in value and if you stay long enough to make it worth it. For people with certainty, buying absolutely makes sense. But if you're uncertain, like we are, it's a huge risk.
We will link the calculator in the description below. See your numbers and then decide. And when it comes to buying, mortgage payment is just a starting point. Here is something that most people do not realize. Rent is the maximum that you would ever pay in a month. And mortgage is the minimum that you would ever pay in a month.
We've been looking at houses around 600,000 pounds. That's what our deposit can realistically get us. Here's one. 3-bed house in Ealing for 600,000 pounds. Ealing is a good area in West London with decent transport links. Looks perfect on Rightmove, right? But nobody tells you about everything else you have to pay just to get the keys before you even move in. Stamp duty will be 20,000 pounds. Solicitor fees would be approximately 1,400 pounds. The survey could cost you around 800 pounds, and let's assume moving costs to be around 1,500 pounds. That's 23,700 pounds before you even spend a night in your house. And this does not even include the renovations or the furniture. And if you are interested in looking at the total cost of ownership, we will link the calculator in the description below.
And then every single month you're paying the mortgage, which is about 2,800 pounds. And then you would factor in maintenance, which is usually 1% of the value of the house. In this case, we can assume it's between 350 to 500 pounds. And then building insurances, which could be around 75 pounds. So your real monthly cost is approximately 3,300 pounds. And this is assuming that you haven't blown up your roof and you're spending thousands in repairs.
Now here's where it gets important. There's a traditional mortgage lending rule of 28%, which means that the total housing cost, including your mortgage principal, interest, insurance, and taxes, should be under 28% of your gross total income. UK lenders don't officially use this. They typically lend you 4.5 times of your salary, but we like the 28% rule as a personal finance threshold.
Go over that and you would become what's called house poor. You own a house, but you have absolutely no money left for anything else. No savings, no cushions, constant stress.
Now, to afford that £3,300 per month with the 28% rule, you would need to earn £11,700 per month as your gross income. That's £140,000 annually.
And a 2019 study shows that actually 40% of the UK homeowners break this rule. They are house poor and they don't even realize it. We did not save 100k to spend our 30s financially stressed.
But alright, even with all these costs, you're surely building wealth through equity, right?
That is, if you believe buying a house is the only way to build equity.
Now, what we're about to show you is the real game changer. This calculator from Smart Money Tools compares renting versus buying for your specific situation.
So here's what the calculator looks like, and here's what we plugged in. Well, our current rent is $2,800 per month, which is rising at 3% yearly. House price is 600k in Ealing. Timeline 6 to 7 years, which is realistic for us before upgrading. Mortgage is about 4.38% fixed, 15% deposit for 25 years. And we're assuming the property would appreciate by 2%, which is conservative for the area. Investment returns, if we rent, about 12%. We would invest the deposit in S&P 500 instead. And monthly investing £2,000 either way. I know this is a big assumption. The result? We are actually better off renting by £10,000 over 7 years. And here's what's wild. Change one assumption and the result flips. Property grows at 4% instead of 2%, buying wins. Property grows only 1%, renting wins. And this assumes we stay the full 7 years. Sell in year 3 or 4 years because life changed. You've just lost 20 to 30k in transaction costs alone, 23,000 to buy and about 11,000 to sell. Everyone casually says, we will just sell if things change.
Which means the decision isn't really about the money. It's about certainty. If you know you'll stay there for more than 7 years and you know that the area will appreciate, buying makes sense.
And if you're uncertain like us, the opportunity cost isn't worth the risk of being wrong. We will link this calculator in the description below. Run your numbers with your assumptions.
Okay, enough with the numbers. Real life isn't just about spreadsheets. Here are other reasons that you should consider while making the biggest purchase of your life.
First reason, you genuinely do not know where you want to be yet. We are 30. We've been in London for about 4 years now. We've not lived in different areas to figure out what we like. We're not even sure London is where we want to be forever. So before buying, ask yourself things like, which area matches the lifestyle you want? Do you care about schools for your kids or garden in the future? Do you want somewhere quiet or somewhere vibrant? Which part of the city feels like you? East, west, or maybe a completely different place? Why would you lock all this money and 7 years in an area you're not even certain about?
And secondly, financial flexibility matters more than ownership to us right now. If we buy, here's what happens. We become house poor and our money gets locked in. House poor means not being able to build your emergency funds. Toxic job you want to leave? You're stuck because you can't afford the pay cut. Roof repair costs £5,000? We'd be panicking. We'd spend our entire 30s stressing about money, living paycheck to paycheck, unable to take any risks.
But it gets worse. That £90,000 is now locked in your bricks. Can't touch it without selling or remortgaging, both expensive and slow. Meanwhile, if we rent and invest that £90,000, it grows and we can access it whenever we need it.
So here's our decision. We are going to be renting for the next 1 or 2 years until our life feels more sorted out.
But look, we did not make this video to tell you not to buy. We made this video to help you make an informed decision. So to summarize, if you're trying to decide for yourself, these 4 questions. Number 1, can I afford this house under 28% of my gross monthly income? Second, am I certain that I would live in this house for 6 to 7 years or more?
Do you actually know where you want to be long term? And fourth, do you value control or flexibility more in your life? If you are uncertain about most of the questions, you're probably not ready yet. And that's completely fine. You're not behind, you're just being thoughtful.
Alright, your turn. What is your situation? Are you team rent or team buy? And if you're buying your house in the next year or 2, Tell us why. Let us help each other out with probably the biggest investment that we would ever make.
And subscribe to our channel because we are doing more of these honest, no BS breakdowns of our London life.
See you next time.